What's going on, guys? KW Stout, healthmindpower.com. In this video, I'm going to talk about the 6 best diet systems ranked by practicality and effectiveness, or in other words, basically the evolution of going from a beginner to advanced in fitness and how you can do that with your diet. Okay, so and when I say diet systems, I mean an approach to dieting. I'm not talking about specific diets like paleo or vegan diet or any of that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm talking more broad. So and like I said, this is kind of like basically if I were gonna if someone was completely new to all of this and you didn't want to overwhelm them, then you could start off from beginning, from the easiest, the most practical diet system, which the more practical and easy it is, the less effective it is. And then the more effective you get and the more precise you get, the more it becomes a little less practical for the average person because it's going to take more effort. So number one would be portion control. So if someone is really overweight, they could easily lose a lot of weight just by simply eating smaller portions, just making a conscious effort to eat smaller portions with every meal. A couple easy ways you can do this, and you might have heard this before, but they are true, is to use smaller plates, smaller bowls, smaller utensils. And because Americans, we tend to fill the plate. We are lucky enough that every time we go out to eat, we get huge portions, compared to other countries. Like, I don't know if you've been to Europe or other areas of the world, they really eat such smaller portions compared to what we do. And it just, you don't realize it because large portions are normal here. But and that's also why so many people are obese here. So, but just starting off with using smaller plates, smaller bowls, and not trying to fill them up all the way, and then eating the exact same foods, even if it's fast food or junk food. So for example, just don't get the large fries and the large drink, get the medium, or maybe just don't finish your fries, or don't get the double cheeseburger, get the regular cheeseburger. This sort of approach for people who are really overweight can actually help them lose a lot of weight just by doing that alone. So then the next level, if you wanted to take the number two diet system, or the next evolution from just portion control, would be portion control plus whole foods. So this is where not only are you starting to consciously think about how much food you're eating, but you're starting to think, okay, now you're trying to actually get whole foods in every meal or most meals. So not only are you so you're eating a little bit less, but you might try to fill your plate with some vegetables. God forbid there be a few vegetables on your plate. So, and then the next one, and this is where it starts to actually you have to start to actually put in some real effort. It's more than just obvious. And this is counting calories. Counting calories is really all you need to do to lose weight. This is really the most fundamental part. It really does, for the most part, come down to calories in versus calories out. So in terms of losing weight or gaining weight, and for most people who are willing to put in some kind of effort, they can get to this point pretty quickly. Because the thing is that you can use an app like MyFitnessPal, which is free, and there are lots of other free apps now that are similar that can track your calories for you, and it's honestly not difficult at all. The only difficult part or challenging part would be figuring out what your calories should be in the first place. Of course, I have a resource link down below for this if that's something you're interested in. And otherwise, you can use a calculator, but I wouldn't go with a calculator on MyFitnessPal because it's not very accurate. So the next level from counting calories would be counting calories and then tracking your protein. Because protein is the most important of the 3 macronutrients, the 3 main ones, which are fat, carbs, and protein. And so whenever you're trying to lose weight or gain muscle, either way, protein is very, very important. And so counting calories is good, and it will work, but you will reach a point where you might be thinking, well, I've counted basically your body composition is not going to be what you want it to be if you're not eating enough protein. That's just really what it comes down to. If you're not eating enough protein and you're counting calories, but you're eating mostly fat and carbs, then if you lose weight, you're gonna be skinnier, but you're gonna just be fat. You're gonna be skinny fat. So you're gonna be skinnier, but your mass will be fat instead of having muscle mass, instead of having lean muscle, because you need protein to build lean muscle mass. The other thing is with protein is there's something called the thermic effect of protein. So your body actually uses more energy to digest protein than it does to digest other macronutrients. So having that extra protein in is good for fat loss in that way too. Now, there's no need to overdo it. You don't have to do, a lot of people have this misconception that you need to have like 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And that's something that some of the protein powder companies in the 90s kind of put that out there. And that's also just not true, So, and you also might have heard these things about how protein is really, a high protein diet is really bad for you. It's hard on your kidneys. It's another thing that's just not true. It's been tested and proven time and time again. Unless you have some pre-existing serious condition with your kidneys, then it's not going to do any damage. I mean, assuming you're keeping it pretty moderate. So for most people, I suggest 0.8 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Now, the only time I go above 1.5 grams is if you're really deep into a cut and you're just and you need a lot more protein because your overall calories are so low that you still need to get your protein intake for the day, because protein is the most important. So that's the only time I personally drop it down that low. So it's usually not even necessary. But to just in case it doesn't make sense to you, so if you were to go with a safe medium, I would say 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, meaning if you weighed 200 pounds, you would have 200 grams of protein per day. And then you fill in the rest of your calories with fat and carbs. So then the next level up from there would be if it fits your macros or flexible dieting. And this is when you start to actually put some thought into not only how many calories are you eating, but how many of each macronutrient are you eating? How many grams of protein, how many grams of carbs, and how many grams of fat you're eating each day. And the benefit of, this, I'm sure you've heard of it, IIFYM, if it fits your macros, or flexible dieting. It's kind of a gimmicky thing, because people say, oh, you can eat anything, but the truth is, as far as losing weight and building muscle, it does work. For overall health, it's not the best approach. But basically the premise is that you set your macros, okay, so you know exactly how many grams of protein to eat every day, how many grams of fat to eat every day, and how many grams of carbs to eat every day. And then from there, you can eat whatever you want, anything, candy, ice cream, pizza, whatever, as long as it fits your macros. Hence the phrase, if it fits your macros, IIFYM, if it fits your macros. Can you eat it? If it fits your macros, yes. Now, see, the catch here is that you really, technically, yeah, you can eat whatever you want if it fits your macros, but you can't really eat whatever you want, because assuming if you wanted to eat pizza and ice cream all day, it wouldn't fit your macros. It might fit into one meal, but throughout the day, it's not going to fit into your macros. So you still have to have some kind of balance. And so this is where things start to get, or people think it gets a lot more complicated, and it does seem more complicated at first, but it's one of those things where after a couple of weeks of doing it, you just get so used to it, it's not difficult anymore, because you start to change your perception, kind of like I said in the last video. You start to change your perception of how you view food. You no longer view it as what it is, as far as, is it a steak or an egg or whatever. You see it as protein, fat, carbs, and these different things, and it really trains you to be conscious of the macros in the food you're eating. And it's also just a great way to get into tracking your macros, because tracking your macros is the most effective way to control your body composition, have the most energy, have the best performance in the gym, and as opposed to just counting calories, where if you're counting calories but you weren't eating hardly any protein, and let's just say you're eating a whole bunch of sugar, so you're constantly getting this insulin spike and insulin crash all throughout the day, and your energy's off. I mean, that's just, it's not the best way to do it. So when you're tracking your macros, you're going to have full control over all these other variables. And then the more advanced version of that would be kind of like I mentioned earlier, tracking your macros plus whole foods. So here is now where you're no longer simply tracking your macros so you can just fit in whatever you want. You kind of lose that whole mentality of just eat whatever you want as long as it fits in your macros, and you start to actually care about your health. You start to care about your energy, start to care about your performance in the gym. And that's when you'll want to start incorporating real foods, whole foods. And the thing is that, there's a big debate about, does it really matter if you eat whole foods or processed foods? Does your body really know the difference? And, there's a lot of evidence both ways. For me personally, I've done it all. I've done it all from not tracking shit and eating whatever I wanted, like I did in college for the most part. I've done it where I did IIFYM and I tried to, do a little mix of eating healthy food and fitting in whatever I want. And I've gone vegan. I've gone completely just, 100% whole foods. And the truth is that the more whole foods I eat, especially the more vegetables and the more green leafy vegetables I get in my diet every day, the better I feel and the better results I get. So I could care less if anyone who says that it doesn't matter, your body doesn't know the difference, I just don't care. I care about what works for me and what gets me the best results. And I can tell you that eating mostly whole foods and still fitting in some of my favorite snacks, like once a day, that's what works best for me. And the more vegetables I eat, the better I feel and the better results I get. So why would I change? Why would I mess with that? It's a system that works. So anyways, that is pretty much okay. So those are the 6 main diet systems. Every diet pretty much breaks off of those, and that is kind of the evolution of going from beginner to advanced in terms of dieting. Now, see, I'm always talking about tracking macros all the time, and the truth is that you don't have to start off doing that. That's just the best way. So if you want to just, if you're ready to go, you're serious about this, you really want to transform your body, you want to do what it takes, then track your fucking macros. But otherwise, yeah, you can just, if you're really overweight, I'm talking about like really obese and you want to drop 20, 50 pounds, yeah, you could probably do that with just, you could probably drop 20 pounds just with portion control. Easily. You could probably drop 50, you could drop a lot of weight, really way more than that. You could drop a lot of weight just by counting calories and ensuring you get enough protein. But if you're serious about this, if you really want to take it to the next level, if you really want to get the best results, if you really want to understand what you're eating, you need to track your macros. Doesn't mean you have to do it forever, because after you've done it for a while, it gets to be instinctive, and it gets to a point where you can kind of eyeball things, and it is definitely more instinctive to where you don't have to. It just doesn't take much thought because it's a habit at that point. It's just normal. So if you're interested in learning how to track your macros, or how to log things in MyFitnessPal, or even just how to set up your calories, how to set up your macros, I have a free resource linked down below. The HMP Diet Guide. It explains everything. It's simple, easy. You can read the whole thing in like 20 minutes. It's got pictures of how to use the app and everything. Okay. So then if you want to read more about these different diet systems, I also have an article associated with this video linked below as well. And that's it for this video. So be sure to leave me a comment. Let me know what kind of diet system you're running right now. Let me know. I want to know of you guys who are watching. I want to know what you're doing. If you're counting calories, not doing anything, and I want to know who's actually tracking their macros. So also be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm doing daily uploads, some days multiple videos. So I'm going to keep pumping these out from here on out. So I'll see you in the next one.